good morning, everybody. Welcome, Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. Bruce, welcome back. How was your Bruce Springsteen tour extended as you've been extending it for years and years and years? And I can't imagine you're done yet.
No, and thank you for that, Eric. I appreciate that. You understand what it's like when a band and the symphony of sound of your life. And that's what Springsteen is. And I'm not trying to overstate it. For me and my wife and elements of our family, two of which we took with us on this trip to San Sebastian, it's life-altering kind of stuff. But to be able to do it in what for us is the favorite city that we've ever been anywhere, and we've been fortunate to travel to a lot of places, San Sebastian, Spain, in the Basque country. I know a lot of people automatically think, well, we got to go to Barcelona or we've got to go to Madrid. They're wonderful cities, and we've spent very meaningful time there, but nothing comes close to San Sebastian in the Basque country, to the very north of Spain on the Bay of Biscay. It is an absolutely stunning backdrop for a week-long vacation that was just unbelievable. That's all I'll say. I'm not going to bore people with the details. It was fantastic. I would highly recommend it to anyone. I would be stunned if you didn't feel the same way.
Who was the bigger Bruce Springsteen fan when you and your wife got married? Did you drag her along, or did she drag you along, or did you drag each other at the same pace?
I think that Sarah was a moderate Springsteen fan. I remember she's considerably younger than I am, so I had a head start. But she actually bought us tickets for a show in Kansas City. We went. She was hooked, and the rest, as they say, has been history. She is even more locked into the back streets and all of the Springsteen stuff than even I am at this point. But to be able to enjoy it the way we do together is really it's one of the things that makes life special for us. So anyway, but good to be back. For me, always the best times are the ones you look forward to, right, and then the trips that you come back from ready to go. And here we are.
One quick note, I don't want to get too personal with you. When the two of you first met and you invited her to your home, did you take down the Darkness on the Edge of Town poster above your bed, or did you leave it here just to let her know, hey, listen, I am a fan? And you still have that poster up above your bed today, your marital crib.
Yeah, absolutely. It needs updating since Springsteen is now 75 years old.
Right.
Doesn't show signs really of backing down. No retreat, no surrender if you're a Springsteen fan. But no, we've got it all good now. And let me just say this: if he's back in Europe again, we will be back in Europe again chasing him. We've seen him in his last 3 tours in Rome, twice in Dublin, and now twice in San Sebastian. So that's how we choose to do it.
Okay, real quick before we get this thing going, I want to tell you about the latest promotion. It's Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos up in Blackhawk on July 18th. It's coming up fast. They're giving away a pair of Spider Cruisers or $15,000 in cash, and it is your choice. They're doing this right before the Sturgis Bike Rally in South Dakota. Get finalist entries every 45 minutes from 10 a.m. until midnight during their daily cash drawings with a locked-up jackpot of $100 or more. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, a family-owned casino that treats you like family. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Sasquatch Casino, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Before we get this thing going, Masai Ujiri is now the former president of the Toronto Raptors. His previous job, he ran the Denver Nuggets as the general manager, probably executive vice president of basketball operations, so on and so forth. The Raptors, for the last 5 seasons, despite winning a title in the last, 8 years or so, for the last 5 seasons, they have missed the playoffs. But when you look at his draft history, he did take a kid by the name of Pascal Siakam and took him with the 27th overall pick. That's hard to find talent like that. But then again, with his program, which is Basketballs Without Borders, no one has a pipeline into Africa deeper than Masai Ujiri, who is from Africa himself. He also holds another pretty heavy title that he puts on his mantle. Do you know there is only one player over the last 25 years who has been an all-star but has been undrafted? There's only one player, undrafted, but an all-star. It's only happened one time in the last 25 years where a guy's been drafted in the last 25 years. And I'll give you a hint. Masai Ujiri brought him in. He has ties to Wichita State. He is under 6'2", and he has three letters in his first name. He'd make a great Scrabble word. Any guesses? Any guesses?
Yeah, he just re-upped with Houston, and Houston's going to be a very intriguing basketball team next year for a lot of reasons. They were intriguing this year, kind of fell short in the postseason. But Fred VanVleet, I mean, people forget Fred VanVleet was on that team. Pascal Siakam was on that team. They had a pretty good guy that's in LA now with the Clippers on that team. So
you're making it sound like
he wasn't drafted, but he was the NBA Finals MVP. So Toronto had their moment, and they had their moment before the Nuggets did. And it's really illustrated how hard it is in this day and age now to sustain that kind of financial operation and be successful. What are we, Eric, now? 7 in a row, won by different teams. We haven't had any repeat winners now in the last 7 years. It's the longest stretch in NBA history. So the parity that Adam Silver was shooting for, a la the NFL, has come to the NBA for better or worse. And for the Nuggets, unfortunately, it's been a worse end of the scenario, certainly much more challenging for a team like the Nuggets, who won as the collective bargaining agreement was really changing, and it's changed the way that they've had to do business. So, kind of interesting stuff there. But it'll be interesting to see where he ends up, because that's a really, and you've talked about him a lot. You've had experience being around him. I haven't, but obviously that's a very good basketball mind.
That teams are going to be lining up around the block just to talk to him. That's how good he is. Let's take a hard right turn. Big news yesterday, although not surprising news. Walker Monfort, the oldest son of Dick, is now the executive vice president of the team, while team president and COO Greg Feasel is going to retire at the end of this upcoming season. Walker talked to the Denver Post and said this about his approach to his new role. Quote, "We're open to whatever it takes to make the Colorado Rockies better, but I would say it's really about maximizing our resources, right? And if we don't have the right resources in place, we should figure out a way to get the right resources in place. This is not just from a staffing perspective. It is literally everything." Well, now you've heard from the new boss, in theory. What do you think about the hiring? Or are you so pessimistic and cynical, you're saying, what do you think about Daddy hiring his son?
No, I'm okay with the hiring if Daddy leaves him alone with it. Look, you and I both know there is no way to go for the Rockies than up at this particular point. I mean, it's difficult to get worse from where they're going to finish this year, around 121, 125, 128 losses. Whatever the number is, it will be historic or nearly historic. So the admission of, hey, we've got a long way to go and a short time to get there, is at least resonates with me a little bit, even if it's Dad's oldest kid in there. As long as Dick isn't the one making this decisions, and Walker is a de facto kind of guy, then I'm okay with it. Because at this point, if whatever you do should have a chance to make it an improvement on what they've done to get to this point, not just this year, Eric, but the last 3 years. I love it how the Rockies they talk about, well, this year obviously is a tough one. Well, what about the last 2 years before it? This is a 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 year cycle right now. This isn't new news. It may be historic news, but it isn't new news. This is the way they've operated for too long now. Good to have a change at the top. Probably wouldn't have been my first pick, but we'll see where he goes. I know you and I speak very commonly on this thing. They need eyes from outside the franchise looking at how business is being done on the baseball side. I'm not going to take any umbrage with the business on the fan side and that kind of thing. They're making money. Great. More power to them. I understand this is a for-profit organization. But in terms of running the baseball operation right now, please get some new eyes and some new ideas in the franchise.
Okay, let me just start by saying this, because I know a lot of Rockies fans are pissed that it's a nepotism hire. It was always going to be this hire. Walker has been groomed for this position. Sterling is being groomed to go through the organization as well. So this was the only choice, like it or not. Now, with that, how good was the choice? This was the only choice. I'm going to share with you conversations I had with other people about Walker and Sterling Monfort, who I have never met. All I know are stories, things I hear about them. And I can go on and on. And I hope for those who are not happy with this hire feel better after what I say, because of information that I've gotten through other people who know him or know people who know him well. Number one, and this is one of the highest compliments I can give, but I will start by saying this. If Bill Schmidt gets fired, and I expect him to, he will not get another job probably in baseball again because his last name is Schmidt. Everybody knows who he is. With that, when you look at Walker and Sterling Monfort, by all accounts, great young men, smart, hardworking, intellectually curious. These aren't my words. These are words from people around them who I trust. The saying would go, if Walker's last name wasn't Monfort, he would not get another job in baseball. You've probably heard something similar to that, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Right.
If Walker's last name was Jones and Sterling's last name was Paddington, both of them would get jobs in baseball. That's how highly they're respected already. There are people with Sterling outside of the organization, baseball people, who respect Sterling Marlin's opinion. I know that seems nuts because he grew up in the organization and he was taught potentially, just like Walker, potentially the same group think. Walker, from what I've been told, doesn't operate that way. What I said to one person was this: if Walker's in a room with his dad and he disagreed with his dad, would he give much pushback? And the answer was absolutely.
Absolutely. Yep.
Apparently, this has been going on for a long time, where Walker has been pushing back quite a bit. And so then I asked another question, which was, do you think that Walker would have taken this job if he did not have complete control over what's going on? Granted, he has to get final approval from his dad, the owner. That's the way it is in all sports. Any big move, you have to go to the top. Just like with Josh, even though he runs the Nuggets, he does have to talk to his dad if they're thinking of trading Jokic. And by the way, we'll get into that next. I'm kidding. There's no trade. There's no trade. There's no trade.
Thank you. Because you had a couple people on the edge when you heard that all the way in Spain. It was like, what in the hell is this? But I digress.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So the point is, I was told about Walker Monfort that he has his own ideas. He thinks out of the box. He wants to shake things up. And as I may have said to you before you went to Europe, the only hope that I have about the Rockies franchise is Walker becomes Rocky Wirtz, because Bill Wirtz, the former Blackhawks owner, is Dick Monfort. All the fortunes seemed to change right when Bill Wirtz died, sadly. But Rocky came in and saw what Dad wasn't doing well and changed almost all of it immediately. And then they went on to win a bunch of Stanley Cups. And while I'm not suggesting that is going to happen, I think things will change. The one thing that I will say about hiring Walker, because Greg Feasel, who needed to go the day he was hired, he was a terrible hire, totally way over his skis. This is how it was put to me by Greg Feasel, who is the ultimate yes man. Ultimate yes man, and has zero interest in any type of change. Okay? I say this to nonprofits all the time. When they tell me about their event the year before, and then we talk about their upcoming event. And and some of them will say to me, well, we didn't do this last year. We didn't do this last year. We didn't do this last year. To which I will say to them, well, if you didn't do it last year, then why don't you just keep the auctioneer you had last year? Well, it didn't go very well.
Right.
Oh, so that's why you're talking to me. And
Right.
I don't mean that in an arrogant way, and I don't say that's why you're talking to me. But I believe in two basic theories, and they all come off of the word change, because there are a lot of Fortune 500 companies out there that hire women or men like my wife, who is a change expert. It is a field that you need a real skill set to change the mentality, change the culture of an entire organization. This is how I feel about change. Tradition is the greatest obstacle to change. But this is the way we always did it. Well, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. You got to consider change no matter how uncomfortable it is. Also, the acronym COO, okay, or CEO. The acronym stands for Chief Executive Officer, right?
Mm-hmm.
It also stands for change equals opportunity.
Right.
And now they're in that situation with Walker Monfort. I have no idea if he's going to be any good, but I will say this. Greg Feasel was in charge of baseball operations and business operations. This is what was said to me about Greg Feasel. He had no business running baseball. 0, 0, 0. Okay. But as far as the business operations, he said there's nobody I would ever trust more with my checkbook than Greg Feasel.
Yeah.
He said he was a day-to-day running Dick's finance. He goes, he's brilliant at that, but he had no business being on the baseball side. So all of everything that I just said, I'll try and sum up in one sentence. They have to hire a president of baseball operations, someone where Walker can learn more about baseball, because I think he's doing okay on the business side.
I will say this. The timing for Walker Monfort on this could not be, I think, any better.
Correct.
I mean, for him, his timing is impeccable, and Dick's timing in making this move is, while it probably has the feeling of all right, I'm out of this thing now. Walker can take it over. I don't feel like Dick's doing that. You and I have always talked about this. Dick wants to win. There's a difference between wanting to win and knowing how to win. A big difference. Everybody wants to win, but do you do the things from an intelligence standpoint, from a wise, insightful ability to make decisions that are good for your baseball side?
Can I cut you off real quick, Bruce?
Sure.
I apologize. Can I cut you off real quick?
Sure.
And I apologize.
Yeah.
I'm going to sum up everything that you're about to say in 2 sentences. Everybody wants to win. Who is committed to winning?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to be rich. Who's committed to being rich?
Yeah.
And that separates the dreamers and the have-nots with the doers, who are the haves.
But even the committed have to be able to look at a model that is going to work for them. You can be committed, but part of that commitment is learning how to do it. And there's no one in the Rockies franchise, with respect, that knows how to do it or has done it in a sustained fashion. So when I get back to where they are right now, Walker Monfort is in a really good place because they are so bad, because they are at rock bottom, because any move that is made right now will be made with at least like, hey, at least he's throwing something against the wall to see if it sticks, right? I don't expect Bill Schmidt to be the general manager. He may not make it through the end of the season.
Well,
that remains to be seen.
Okay, well, with that, let's tease this going into break. I don't think that Bill Schmidt is going to make it either, whether he's fired during this season or he's fired at the end of the season. So the question is, next month you have the draft.
The draft,
on the 13th.
right? Yeah.
On the 31st, you have the trade deadline. Do you keep Bill through those two big building block moments where you know you're going to be trading a lot of veterans? Do you make a move from him now, or do you let him do what he has always done to keep some sort of continuity? That's next.
Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corn bake. Man, you got to try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Spice up your next night out at Nola Jane and Lodo. Authentic Cajun cuisine like andouille sausage gumbo with dirty rice, crawfish etouffee, as well as 6 different po' boys like soft-shell crab and shrimp. Come in before or after a game at Ball Arena. Host a party or party on their rooftop deck overlooking Market Street during happy hour from 11 a.m. to 5. Plus, Nola Jane caters, delivers, and the kitchen is open late night. Make Nola Jane your new favorite spot to eat, drink, and party like it's Mardi Gras.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch in the DTC. Both locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook is a hangout bar or great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, the DTC, and coming soon to Parker. They are the sports bar.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a pair of Spider Cruisers or over $15,000 in cash the weekend of July 18th, just in time for the Sturgis Bike Rally in South Dakota. That's right, your choice, cruisers or $15,000 in cash. Get finalist entries every 45 minutes from 10 a.m. to midnight during their daily cash drawing with a locked-up jackpot of $100 or more. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, loose slots, great promotions, great food, and a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
And welcome back. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Nola Jane in the heart of Lodo. No one does Cajun cuisine better than Nola Jane. Go see why their award-winning menu is the best in town.
Major League Baseball draft begins on July 13th. Unfortunately for the Nuggets, the Rockies, there is a rule in place that you're not allowed to tank 3 years in a row, and you get punished for it. Unfortunately, I think the Rockies should petition and say, we have not been trying to tank. We have just been that bad. So can you give us a little bit of relief here? We would love that pitcher out of LSU. Not going to happen. So you have Bill Schmidt as of right now running the draft. Then it looks like they're going to try and shop Bird and McMahon and Marquez. And I don't know what they're going to get for these guys. Shoot. I mean, Schmidt should have traded McMahon last year. Just like, you look at Trevor Story and how that was all handled. And John Gray, how that was handled. This is your guy making decisions. Should they let him go if they're eventually going to at the end of the season now?
Yes.
Yeah, they should.
Yes.
However, my concern is with Greg Feasel still in charge, because remember, it is Feasel who in theory is going to be mentoring Walker into this role before he leaves. Feasel is anti-change. I think Feasel is going to be the roadblock to making it happen, although I do hope it happens.
I hope it does too, because they need change and they need to affect it as quickly as they possibly can. And if you go another cycle in the acquisition of talent,
right,
then you're just putting that much more water and current to swim upstream against. Look, here's what I'll say. And I don't know what the mandate from Dick is. None of us do. At least I'm not familiar with it. I don't know what kind of mandate he gave Walker in terms of people in the organization and how long they've got to be, their contracts have to be honored, or how long they have to be along for. I hope that he has been given enough control where he can say, I'm going to get my list out, which I would bet you dollars to donuts that Walker Monfort probably has a list of guys that he wants to contact, that he wants to reach out to, that he wants to work with, because as you said, and well said, this was the only move that the Rockies were going to make. It wasn't going to come from outside the organization, or in this case, outside the family. The Monfort family was going to stay in this thing, and they were going to be the controlling voice. That's fine as long as it's a vessel for change. So red flags will be there for me if there isn't movement along those lines, and that if Walker isn't able to get some people in place fairly quickly to affect change.
I don't think he would have taken this job if he was more than a yes man.
I'm with you.
That's what I was told by people, that he is not that personality type. He's a think out of the box type. He wants to make change, but he doesn't want to have his dad overruling everything. If Dick doesn't understand after all this time, his influence on the baseball operations is hurting this team, then shame on him at this point. With that, I want to take a hard right turn. Colin Cowherd, and I don't want to be a guy who steals somebody else's bit, but I like the premise of it, and I want to move it forward. He did an interesting bit on the 7 most untradeable stars in sports, meaning you don't trade them under any circumstances. This was his list in no particular order. Jokic was on that list. Caitlin Clark, Mahomes, Josh Allen, Ohtani, Aaron Judge, and Jaden Daniels. Now, let's not go back and forth who should and should not be on this list. That's his opinion. That's fine. With that, I would actually, if for the Broncos, just as a side note, I would rather have Bo Nix over Jaden Daniels. I would.
So would I.
And I'll give you my reasons why. One, it's a great marriage with Sean Payton. That's number one. So if the Broncos had to redraft all over again last year and they had the number 1 pick, I'd take Bo Nix for 2 reasons. One, because I like the marriage and I think Nix's upside is really high. I'm not saying Peyton Manning high. I'm not saying Tom Brady high. That's high. That's not as fair. But the other thing is, I don't want a quarterback that runs first or is very eager to take off. Listen, it looks great in games and it can get you a lot of regular season wins and it can get you playoff wins. What it can't get you are Super Bowl wins. How many guys I'll ask you, how many guys have rushed for over 600 yards in a regular season and have won a Super Bowl?
Quarterbacks you're talking about? Can't think of one.
There is one.
There is one.
And it's Russell Wilson.
Okay.
He's the only guy to rush for over 600 yards in a season and win a Super Bowl that season. It's not that it's a knock on Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is a great football player. I just worry about injury. I don't want a guy for 7 and 9 years. I want a guy from 10 to 12 to 15 years. That's the only reason why I'd want Nix more, because Nix will run when he needs to. He's like Mahomes. He runs when he needs to. There are some design plays for him. There are some design plays for Mahomes. But Jaden Daniels, there are too many scripted plays for him to run, which is good, but it also sets you up for injury as well. But I digress. Here's the question of those 7. If you could pick only one person of those 7, I'll read it to you again. Jokic, Caitlin Clark, Mahomes, Allen, Ohtani, Judge, Jaden Daniels. Who is the most untouchable, as in I would never trade this player ever under any circumstances? You can only pick one. Who would it be?
Well, it's a tough one because it's not an apples to apples. I mean, Caitlin Clark plays in the WNBA. It's kind of tough to compare a talent playing in the WNBA against a talent playing in the National Football League. The easy answer for me is Patrick Mahomes, because he's the one that's done it. Out of all of these guys, and obviously Jokic has championship pedigree, but Mahomes has multiple championship pedigree. You take Patrick Mahomes out of the mix in Kansas City, and that's an irrevocable change. Absolutely. And so is Jokic in Denver. That goes without saying. But in terms of an even bigger change, seismic, in terms of how many Super Bowls they've been to and won, by the way, for me, it would be Patrick Mahomes. Now, I will say this from a seismic standpoint, Caitlin Clark would be, if Mahomes is here and Clark is here, Caitlin Clark would be the next, probably, if you could even up the score on my list, simply because she is changing the very face of a league, not just a franchise in Indiana, but a league. It's changed their financial outlooks. It's changed their television contracts. It's changed everything. But for me, it would be Mahomes. And I frankly don't think that there's really a close second in that group.
Okay, I'm going to not only give you a close second, I'm going to give you a new number one.
All right,
kind of piggybacking off of what you said.
Okay.
We say this about the NFL Hall of Fame at times, or at least I do, and I'm sure you and I have had this conversation. When you look at quarterbacks that are in the Hall of Fame, there are a lot of them, but there is a small room for just a few. Only they get the key. They get the top shelf whiskey and bourbon. They get the best hors d'oeuvres. They have the best of everything, the finest cigars. Manning, Elway, Brady, Montana, all of them have access to the room. Drew Brees will not. No disrespect to him. I'm just picking out a name.
Right.
So here's another room that's a small fraternity. Okay? In no particular order. Jackie Robinson, Kurt Flood, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, probably a few others, and Caitlin Clark. All of them did seismic shifts to their sports. Forget about just the play, the seismic shift. She is the most important athlete in sports today, period.
Relative to the level of league that she's playing in. Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm not gonna water this down because it's women. And I
no.
it's
not about that.
Misogynistic.
No, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. I'm saying that it's a very difficult compare and contrast when you're talking about seismic in the WNBA compared to seismic or generational in the NFL. But I'm with you. I mean, I made my case for Caitlin Clark, so you and I are in a similar place.
Yeah. So let me finish my thought really quickly.
Right. Sorry.
Okay. So Patrick Mahomes is the face of the NFL. But you can make the case so is Josh Allen. So is Lamar Jackson. They haven't won titles, but they're well publicized, is my point.
Right.
There is Caitlin Clark and Caitlin Clark only. That's it. If she got traded from the Indiana Fever in a basketball state, if you think they would revolt in Kansas City, and there's larger numbers, I get it, it'd be a bigger protest, I am sure. It would. Patrick Mahomes is not responsible for, I don't know, players eating better food on the training table. Not responsible for private jets. Caitlin Clark's responsible for all of that. But let's move on. I think it's a good conversation.
It is.
It's
fun.
I think you can, come up with a lot of different answers with that. Who would be the one untradeable player for the Broncos, Avalanche, or Rockies? You don't have to have a pick. We know it's going to be Jokic for the Nuggets. Give me the one untradeable player for the Broncos.
Well, right now it's got to be Bo Nix. I mean, just simply because of where they are in terms of franchise quarterback and the future of the franchise and all of those things, it would have to be Bo Nix for me.
It's Bo Nix because of Bo Nix.
Right.
And obviously you have a pretty good argument from a guy who just won a pretty good award as Defensive Player of the Year.
Yes, you do.
But it's the leverage of the position that's so important.
Right.
They finally found their guy, and they do have the right guy.
Yes.
That's why, to me, it'd be Nix. Outside of that, what would you say? Probably Surtain, if we're not going to cherry pick with the quarterback position.
I think that when you have in their fourth or fifth year, the defensive player of the year in the AFC, I think that's probably next on your list. Here's the great thing about where the Broncos, though, where they are, Eric, is that all of a sudden you've got some options now.
Right.
I mean, you're going to go with Nix and you're going to go with Surtain, and those are the two best football players on this team.
Great case for Zach Allen.
You sure can. You sure can. And
big case for Quinn Miners.
You've got some options now. Yeah. And that's why it's exciting right now to kind of be a part of what's going on in Broncos country. No question about it.
Would you put anybody on an untradeable list for the Rockies? I know you're a big Tovar guy, but we're talking untradeable means.
I don't think I would. I don't think I would allow anyone. Chase Dolander would be my guy. If you're asking me for one guy,
because of
Chase Dolander, it would not under any circumstances trade.
What about the Avalanche? Because you will get a split opinion on this. This will be a split decision from the three ringside judges.
Well, the one that they made was the one that I would have made, is Rantanen. And for long.
Wait. I said, give me one untradeable player on every team.
Oh, yeah.
So, I know Rantanen's not on the team. That's what I mean. Not what I mean. We both know that. I'm saying you would have put him as
would
untradeable?
Not trade Makar.
Correct. I mean, I have to say
Makar is my guy.
Yeah, I'm saying correct. Like, it's a good thing you agreed with me. That's not how I
No. I want to be on your train. Damn it. All right.
What I'm about to say is going to sound somewhat flippant, and I understand it. You can find a player like McKinnon. You cannot find a player like Makar.
No.
He is a unicorn. There is Bobby Orr, Cale Makar, Paul Coffey,
right?
Maybe two others that
Not
can do
many.
what Makar did.
Yeah.
There are lots of centers and forwards who have put up points like McKinnon. Not to take anything away from him, it's the position and why it's such an oddity to have a guy like him play it.
I will put it in your terms, Eric, and you are right on target. That will be a very rare room by the time that Cale Makar is done.
Yes.
Hell, he's getting there now, and he's still playing flush in the prime of his career. He will be a card-carrying member of that very exclusive top of defenders to have ever played the game. So
here's another way to put it. Cale Makar did not have a good playoff. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Did not have a good playoff.
Nope.
Yet he won the Norris Trophy. Again, I don't think any reasonable person said, yeah, I know he won the Norris Trophy, but look what he did in the playoffs. No. He's Cale Makar. He had
Yeah.
bad playoffs. He's
Yeah.
still fucking Cale Makar.
Yeah,
Period.
That's pretty succinctly put. No pushback there.
Right. So I think we've kind of hit that particular list. With that, anything else you want to add about your trip?
No. How closely are you following the U.S. Senior Open down in Colorado Springs? I think it's fun that Padraig Harrington is at least at the top of the leaderboard going to day number 2. That's kind of fun.
Well, seniors do enjoy seniors. So what do you have dinner watching it at 4:30, and then you and Sarah are in bed with the help of the handicap bars to get into bed.
Well, you forgot gumming my food. I mean, remember, I got to gum my food now at 4:30.
Smile for me. There we. Yep, they didn't slip. Good for you.
I still have them. I still have them. All my regular chompers. I love that event. I've covered that event twice, and obviously I won't be there this weekend. But
why? Why?
Well, because I'm not going to be down there. I'll work on Sunday. Arn Anderson has the work down there with Dave Althouse, so that's fine. But I love events at the Broadmoor. The Broadmoor is a special place. I've played it a couple of times, never very well, but I've always enjoyed it. And to me, it's one of those places that you can connect with the history of the game. Yeah. So much has happened on those grounds, and so it's really a neat thing. And then when you get some names like Padraig Harrington and Stuart Sink and guys that have been meaningful in the history of the game, and it's right down the road, I think that's a really fun event. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Bruce, welcome back to town. You said that, well, I'm just not going. Bruce Springsteen certainly rubbed off on you. You are currently the boss, apparently. You decide what you do. No one orders you around, so the boss has now convinced you to act like a boss. I just hope that your real boss is okay with you acting like the boss.
I only have one boss in my life.
Yes,
and that's the one I love and am married to. So she's the boss.
Yes, and if you ask my wife, she would agree that
there you go.
Too. Listen, at the end of the day, there has to be a walker and there has to be somebody on the choke collar. You and I are on the choke collars. Make it the best possible weekend you can.